was an older home that had people moving in and out constantly in my neighborhood. I think the longest anyone had lived in it that I had seen was about a year. Besides that, every 3 or 4 months, people moved out claiming creepy things happened in there. One summer night, around midnight, I was riding my bike home from a friend's house, which I was about a mile away. As I was riding, I got closer and closer to the older home, and I started to see this grayish, shadowy, floating figure in the middle of the road. I continued on thinking it was nothing, and out of nowhere, as I approached, it got instantly colder, like from 80 degrees dropping down all the way to 40. I got goosebumps and could see my breath. I continued on, and as soon as I got to it and went through the shadow, my bike chain popped, and I crashed. I freaked out as the shadow headed towards me. I picked up my bike and sprinted the next quarter-mile home, successfully outrunning the shadow. The next morning, after freaking out, I was home and my parents were helping me in bed. I decided to ask them about the house. My mom said that they heard from the previous owners of her house that a man had killed his wife and children. He called the police on himself, then walked out to the middle of the road. He waited for the cops to arrive, then he offed himself. He was pronounced dead in the middle of the road shortly after midnight to this day. I can't seem to get that image of the shadow out of my mind. Once, when I was about 9 years old, I was extremely addicted to the Pokemon Go game that they had in the App Store. I was pretty good at it and even had some rare Pokemon, meaning that I spent a lot of my time playing the game. I got to a point where I felt like I collected a lot of the Pokemon around my house and even around my street, so I thought I would take it a step further and walk around the park close by, which to my surprise was a good thing. There was lots and lots of Pokemon to be discovered there, and I was even battling people for territories online. It was around 4 p.m. when I was walking around the park, and I heard someone call out, "Hey" to me from across. It was a young kid who looked to appear my age. He was wearing baggy clothes with the hat on. He told me, "Are you looking for more Pokemon too?" And I said yes, with a smile. He then tells me he knows a few spots around the park where we could find many more. He told me his name was Bill, and then we walked around as he showed me a few great spots, in which I did find more Pokemon. He told me that he lives at the gray house right across the street, and to find some more Pokemon with him tomorrow. I agreed, and then we went our separate ways. I thought he was a pretty cool kid, and I thought we could become great friends. I show up to the gray house across the park the next day just like he said. I knocked on the door and the older woman answered, who I assumed was his mom. She seemed sort of confused and then asked me if there's anything she could help me with. I told her that I came to hang out with Bill and that she could let him know that I was there. She then got visibly upset, then sort of got furious. She told me to get off her property at once and to never come back again. She told me that they won't have any more jokes made about her son anymore. I was really confused at why she was so mad, and then I apologized. She noticed the look on my face and then told me why I would say such a thing. I told her that I met her son at the park yesterday and how we were looking for Pokemon together. She told me that her son had been dead for about 2 years and how he was murdered at the park wandering around looking for Pokemon on his phone. I told her that I didn't understand since I was with them just yesterday. Her face then turned pale once again as she told me to get off her house at once. I went home and just laid down for the rest of the day thinking that I just encountered a ghost. This happened about 2 months ago. I was alone in my house, and my parents were away working for the weekend. They were supposed to be due back later that evening. My mom then texted me saying that they'd broken down and were awaiting the breakdown service to pick them up. I asked them if there was anything I could do, but they told me to go to sleep as they'd probably be back late. Fast forward to 3 a.m., I woke up and had to use the restroom. When I left the restroom, I glanced over to the bedroom and the door was shut, and I could see the light on inside. At this point, I should note that when I went to sleep earlier, the bedroom door was open and the light was off. I could see lots of movement from under the door and could hear some footsteps. So I thought, oh, they must be home. I stumbled towards the door and remember stopping myself, thinking, no, I won't go in. I'll just speak to them in the morning. So I turned back around towards my room and go back to sleep. Next thing I know, I'm being woken by the sound of the front door opening downstairs. I glanced at the clock, noticing that it was 3:45 a.m., 45 minutes after I last woken up. I thought it was a bit strange and got a tense feeling in my stomach. I walked out of my bedroom and glanced over to my parents' room, only to see the door wide open and the light off. The bed was also made perfect, showing that no one had laid in it. I felt sick and I had a strange feeling. I then went downstairs and saw my parents. I nervously asked my mom, "Have you just got home?" She was like, "Yeah, why?" I just sat staring into space, wondering what just happened. I'm still wondering now to this day.